Hello, students, and welcome to Mr. Sandwich Reads. I am, as always, Mr. Sandwich, and today I'm going to be reading Yo-Yo and Yeoug-Cheng Finding Their Way by Ai-Ling Louie, so please stay tuned and enjoy. All right, I'm about to read Yo-Yo and Yeoug-Cheng Finding Their Way. This is a 2012 publication by Scholastic, and again, it is by Ai-Ling Louie. In a small apartment in the city of Paris, in the country called France, Yeoug-Cheng was learning the violin. She was only 4 years old, but her father had already been teaching her for over a year. Baba played some notes on his own violin. Then he said, "That is the next part of the piece. You will practice it all week. Then you can add it to the part you already know. Soon you'll know the whole piece of music. Now go and play for 1/2 hour. I'll tell you when you can stop." In this way, Yeoug-Cheng had already learned several long pieces of music. She had played them by heart. She thought all children learned the violin this way. She didn't know that she was the first child to learn by her father's method. He was a doctor of musicology. Dr. Ma believed that using his method, children did not have to wait until they were 7 or 8 to learn music. She's dreaming about music and bunnies and babies. With Yeoug-Cheng practicing, Dr. Ma turned to his son. Yo-Yo was only 7 months old. Baba pressed a toy violin into his son's hands. He cupped the baby's left hand over the strings. "Yo-Yo is too young to play the violin," Yeoug-Cheng said to her mother. When it came to the children's music education, Marina Ma usually gave her husband his way. She might be living in Paris, but she was still a Chinese woman who believed in the old Chinese way. "We all must do as Baba says," she told Yeoug-Cheng. "He is the head of our household." There you see the little baby hand cupping the violin, the neck of the violin. Yeoug-Cheng practiced every day. But when her father led her up to the stage at her first violin competition, she was afraid. "You can do it," her father whispered to her. "Play it just as you practiced at home." Yeoug-Cheng looked out at the audience. Everyone was staring at her. Sitting in the first row, she saw all the teenagers who had played before her. How could she ever beat them? Mama nodded and smiled from the audience. Yeoug-Cheng picked up her bow and put it to the strings. Once she started playing, it was easy. She knew the piece so well, she didn't have to think about it. At the end of the competition, an announcer came to the stage. "And the winner is Yeoug-Cheng Ma." Mama threw her arms around Yeoug-Cheng. "I'm so proud of you," she told her. Yeoug-Cheng looked over at her father. Men were all around him, patting him on the back. All because of her. Winning music competitions made little Yeoug-Cheng happy, especially because it pleased her parents. One day, she would grow up to be a fine musician, like Baba said. Her little brother Yo-Yo did not share Yeoug-Cheng's serious personality. When he was 3 years old, Baba gave Yo-Yo his sister's old violin. Look what I've got for you," Baba said. Yo-Yo hopped around the apartment. He sang a little song about a frog. "Yo-Yo, this is important," Baba said. Yo-Yo kept singing and hopping around. Dr. Ma waved the violin and said, "Come here." Yo-Yo hopped farther away from his father. Finally, Baba caught Yo-Yo and set him down in front of him. He put his left hand on the strings and showed him where to press down to play a D. "Now draw your bow across to make the sound." Yo-Yo did as his father said. "Now draw your bow across to make the sound." Yo-Yo did as his father said. "Can I go now?" "No, you cannot. Practice what I've showed you." I'll tell you when you are finished. Yo-Yo sighed. He did not want to practice. Oh dear, Mama said. Yeou-Cheng nodded. Her little brother was not a musician like she was. And this is based on a true story, keep in mind. I hate the violin, Yo-Yo said a few days later, when he and his sister were in the park. Why? Asked Yeou-Cheng. Baba plays the violin, and I play the violin. That's right, it's your instrument, Yo-Yo said. Then he ran far away. There you see them in Paris, in a park. He's running away. Oh, that's her. There he is. It's Yeou-Cheng there. A few days later, when Yo-Yo was alone with his violin, it somehow got broken. It looked like there would only be one young musician in the Ma family. Have you ever felt pressured to do something you didn't want to really do? Although Baba taught Yeou-Cheng classical Western music like Bach, Mozart, and other European composers of the 1600s and 1700s, he liked all sorts of music. One night, the family went to a jazz concert at the university. Jazz music was from America. It was more modern. In the jazz band, there was a trumpet, a clarinet, a piano, a drummer, and a double bass. The man who played the double bass plucked the strings with his right hand. Yo-Yo jumped up in his seat. He pointed at the double bass. I want that, he declared. I want to play the big instrument. The double bass was twice the size of little Yo-Yo, but he was a very stubborn child. I do enjoy modern jazz, and I do like that sound of that bass. So a few days later, Dr. Ma brought home a cello. A cello is smaller than the double bass Yo-Yo wanted, but it was much bigger than a violin. It was so big it had to be played sitting down. Yo-Yo's face lit up when he saw it. For the first time in his life, he was excited about playing music. Yeou-Cheng was glad her brother had his own instrument to play. Now they could practice together. Even if he wasn't going to be a fine musician like Yeou-Cheng would be one day, Baba even started her on a second instrument, the piano. With all the practice they had to do, plus learning French, Chinese, and math at home, the Ma children had no time for friends or playmates, but they had each other. Yo-Yo came to all his sister's recitals. After one concert, Yeou-Cheng ran off the stage and sat down next to her brother. How was I? She asked. Good, he told her. Just good? She teased. Is that all you have to say? Well, your sound is a little off. What? She said. What do you mean? You were just a little. Yo-Yo said. Yeou-Cheng didn't like what Yo-Yo was telling her. But when she looked to her father for help, he said, Yo-Yo is right. He looked curiously at his son. He has a very good ear. Soon, Yo-Yo himself was ready to play his cello on stage at the university. Yeou-Cheng would accompany him on the piano. She helped her brother tie his bow tie. She combed his hair. Don't be nervous. Think of how nice it will be when it's all over. That's what I do. You only have to play a little portion of your piece. It won't take long. Yo-Yo called to Baba. I'm going to play the whole piece, he told him. What? Said Dr. Ma. No one in the family ever told him what to do, especially not a 6-year-old. You do as I planned, Dr. Ma said. Yo-Yo said, this is what I'll do. I'll play the first part, and everybody will clap loudly. You clap loudly too. That will mean they want to hear more, so I'll sit down and play the rest. Dr. Ma wasn't sure, but everything worked just as the boy said. He played the whole piece to thunderous applause. Dr. Ma had a brother who lived in the United States. When Yeou-Cheng was 11 in 1962, the family went to visit him and his family. Word got out, and the Ma family of Rochester, New York, had very talented children visiting them. Yeou-Cheng and Yo-Yo played at a concert in Rochester and then in Denver. And then something incredible happened. The Ma children were invited to play in front of John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States, in Washington, D.C., the capital. The Washington Armory seated 5,000. When Yeou-Cheng saw the huge crowd, she was more than a little scared. Yo-Yo was looking nervous too. What's the matter? Baba said. You're usually not like this. It's just that my cello is so small and this place is so big. Baba laughed. Don't worry, the loudspeakers will make sure everyone can hear you. The concert was exciting. Yeoung-Cheng played her piece perfectly. The next day, the concert was even written up in the newspapers. There were many pictures of Yo-Yo with his cello, but not a single picture of Yeoung-Cheng. She scoured all the articles and never even found her name. Dr. Ma liked everything he saw about America. His methods of training his children were praised as revolutionary. He was even offered a job in New York City teaching music at the Trent School for Children. They wanted him to start a children's orchestra. It was decided. The Ma family was moving to New York. In New York, Yeoung-Cheng and Yo-Yo went to school for the first time. The school was in English, a language neither of them knew. Sometimes in class, Yeoung-Cheng knew the answer to the teacher's questions, but could only think of the word in French or Chinese. Yeoung-Cheng, her teacher called one afternoon when the class was studying history. What did you think about the French and Indian War? Yeoung-Cheng did not know what to say in English, French, or Chinese. She was not used to being asked what she thought about anything. It was a relief for Yeoung-Cheng to leave school at the end of the day and go to her music lesson. She knew she was good at violin. She didn't need anything else. She was going to be a fine musician, just as Baba had told her when she was a little girl. She and Yo-Yo both had new teachers in America. Yo-Yo was studying with a well-known cellist, Johannes Schultz. When he heard Yo-Yo play, he offered to teach the child prodigy for free. A prodigy is somebody who's very gifted, very young. But one day, when Yeoung-Cheng got to her violin lesson, her teacher had bad news. This will be our last lesson, he said. Didn't your parents tell you? Yeoung-Cheng stared at him in shock. Why? She asked. I told your parents I think you should stick to piano, he said. You play the notes perfectly on the violin, but you don't make the notes sing. On the piano, you'll be able to help your brother when he needs somebody to play duets. Yeoung-Cheng ran out of the lesson. Accompany her brother on duets? Was that all she was good for? She didn't want to believe it, but deep down she knew it was true. She could hear how fast Yo-Yo progressed on the cello. She heard people who knew music praise the way he played. Most of all, she heard the beauty of the music. He made the notes sing. Yeoung-Cheng would never be the musician that she dreamed of being. But if she weren't a musician, what would she be? She thought of her teacher's words in school again. What do you think, Yeoung-Cheng? Her friends at school were planning to go to college. When they asked Yeoung-Cheng what she was going to do after high school, she just shrugged. See her running out crying after that devastating lesson. One afternoon, Yeoung-Cheng sat in chemistry class. Her teacher was handing back the latest test. And with a perfect score again, Yeoung-Cheng. Congratulations. She dropped the test paper on Yeoung-Cheng's desk. Yeoung-Cheng had top grades in biology, physics, and math too. She really enjoyed those subjects, but she had never thought they could be her life. Her life was music. Now her life could be anything she wanted it to be. Yeoung-Cheng applied to college and went to Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. For the first time in her life, she lived away from her family and away from her talented brother. That was just fine with her. Yeoung-Cheng threw herself into college life. She made friends. She loved living in the girls' dorm and studying chemistry and biology. All the training she had as a child learning music, French, Chinese, and English made studying easy. I want to be a doctor, she told her parents. I want to help people get well. After I graduate, I want to go to Harvard Medical School. Only the best students get in there, Dr. Ma told her. Yeoung-Cheng is the best, Yo-Yo said. She got her brother's support. Yo-Yo was 15 now. He was a student at Juilliard, a famous music school in New York. He still played in his father's orchestra, but when it came time to apply to college, Yo-Yo wanted to follow his sister's path to Harvard. Juilliard is the best musical training you can have, Baba said one night. My life has always been musical training, Yo-Yo said. It's lonely and boring. I don't want to practice all the time. Mama sighed. Baba and Yo-Yo were always arguing. Baba was the head of their household, but this time Yo-Yo was not backing down. Look, he said finally, if you want me to be really obedient, I can do that, but that means never finding my own voice. If you want me to be a good musician, it means I have to find myself. Dr. Ma thought long and hard about what his son said. It was hard to let him do something he thought was wrong, but his son was growing up. And I always think of music or art or all kinds of practices as being a way to express yourself, right? That's really what music and art is all about. Self-expression. He's got to find himself. Yo-Yo took things into his own hands. He enrolled in Harvard and moved to Cambridge. He studied African culture and sociology, the study of people and how they live together. He had a girlfriend, Jill Horner, and made lots of new friends. He was right there in the audience when Yeoug-Cheng received her degree from Harvard Medical School. She already knew what kind of doctor she wanted to be, a pediatrician, a doctor who helps children. She went on to work at the Albert Einstein Medical Center in Bronx, New York. She specialized in the development of children's hearing. She, along with her husband, musician Michael Dadap, also restarted her father's Children's Orchestra Society. Sometimes they take children in the orchestra to Carnegie Hall, the concert hall in New York, to hear the world-famous musician, her brother, Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo travels all over the world giving concerts. He has recorded 78 CDs and won the top award in music, the Grammy, 15 times. Yo-Yo still loves to make new friends. He has played with Argentine tango players and Appalachian fiddlers. Recently, he created the Silk Road Project. He brought together musicians from all along the ancient trade route to play together, players of the Chinese pipa, Iranian kamanche, and Indian tabla. I hope I'm not mispronouncing any of those. Let's see. Chinese pipa or pipa, P-I-P-A, Iranian kamanche, and Indian tabla. Yo-Yo, the Chinese French American, sees himself as a citizen of the world and believes music to be the universal language. In 2008, Yo-Yo was invited to play at the inauguration of another US president, Barack Obama. It was an exciting day, but he had even more fun when he played as a surprise guest at the Children's Orchestra Society concert. He played alongside his sister, Yeoug-Cheng. They will always have each other. That was a nice tale there. Yo-Yo, I do know Yo-Yo Ma, the great cellist. Worth checking out. You can always look that up online. I'm sure you could find Yo-Yo Ma. And I never knew Yeoug-Cheng, the story of his sister Yeoug-Cheng, who was also a great musician and went on to become a great pediatrician, helping children. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, that was Yo-Yo and Yeoug-Cheng Ma, Finding Their Way by Ai-Ling Louie. This was published in 2012 by Scholastic. Yeah. Is there a way that you like to express yourself? Is there a certain kind of craft or art, music, an instrument you like to play? What is it that really helps you feel like you get to represent who you are? Sort of gets you to express your feelings and thoughts in a way other people might not always get to see. So something to think about. I like to fiddle on the guitar. Total amateur, but it's fun to do. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell. Thank you. Take care. Peace.